So there's a big difference between just reading and checking off the words on the page and actually understanding on a deep cellular level what you're reading and then putting that into practice, like on a daily, all day, not just once, but like on repeat, repetitively embodying and living the principles that you're reading. So we're just beginning our studies on Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. I am breaking it down bit by bit and also making it easier for you guys to digest this material. Sometimes it isn't easy to understand, even though they're using basic words. The principles underneath sometimes need like a refresher or someone to interpret it in a different way. And it is my deep hope that that's what my work does. And that's what this podcast does. It takes this material that actually was written in 1944. But the beautiful thing is, like, he had a teacher and that person had a teacher. And this is information that is as old as time. And where we benefit is when somebody comes along and interprets that information differently and then expresses it through their own unique expression, and then another person can receive it. So if maybe they had read the original book and it didn't land, but because they got the teaching from someone who kind of modernized it and expressed it in their own way, they were able to receive the information. Essentially, that's what this work is going to do for you. So we're just beginning at the law and its operation, which simply states everything is consciousness. This might take a minute to digest, this idea of everything is consciousness. And as you study this work, you'll come to really understand that, not in an intellectual way, but in a body way, in a kinesthetic way, in a knowing within you versus like an informational knowing. But let's move on. The way he teaches it is that everything is consciousness, and that we can break consciousness as one. We can separate it into two parts just for the purposes of understanding the parts. They're not actually separate, they're part of the whole, but for our purposes of study and understanding, we have the conscious and the subconscious. The way that I like to teach it based on this material is the conscious mind is the lady boss. She calls the shots. She's the decision maker. She has logic. She has willpower. She makes the choices. She's the lady boss. That's your conscious mind. Then we have the subconscious mind, which is like the worker bee, like the employee to the boss. And you need both of them, because if we just had a boss calling all the shots, but we didn't have anyone to actually do the work, that wouldn't work. And then if we just had all worker bees, but nobody knew what the heck was going on, or even what their job was or what they were supposed to do, that would be a chaotic mess as well. So we need both parts, remembering that both parts come from the same whole. But we've got Lady Boss here. She calls all the shots. And then we have this devoted worker bee, the subconscious mind. Lady Boss, she's the one that creates all the ideas. So any change that you want to make in your life, Lady Boss makes them. She decides. So she sees a new car, or she sees a job, or she wants more money, or she wants to change her body, or she wants to, anything that she wants to do, that's Lady Boss. She is making a decision of what she wants to do. Now, her job, because Lady Boss isn't going to do the work, her employees, her worker bees are going to do the work, the subconscious. And the beautiful thing here is, in like our regular society, we would just use language. We would use the English language. Your boss would tell you in an email or in their words, hey, this is your assignment. This is what you need to do. The language between Lady Boss and worker bee, your conscious and your subconscious mind, is feeling. It's not an actual expressed language. It's a felt emotion. And this is where things can get a little bit tricky. And this is where we introduce the body. So right now we're just talking about mentally in the mind, the imagination, the consciousness. Feeling is where we invite the body, and the information from Lady Boss to the worker bee is expressed through feeling. That is literally how Lady Boss communicates to the worker bees. This is what you need to do. This is your assignment. Get to work. And worker B is like so excited, like, give me the excitement, boss. Give it to me. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'll do whatever you want. I'll listen to whatever you say. But worker B only speaks one language, one, and that's feeling. So in many cases, myself included, I'm feeling all kinds of way because I don't have any kind of like discipline in my feeling nature. And then my worker bee is like, oh, she feels like shit. Oh, she has worry. Oh, she has fear. I'm on it, boss. And then is doing all of these things to create for me those emotions because that's the language. That's what I've been communicating. When you understand this, and it's my true hope that my lady boss worker bee analogy is helpful to you because it really simplifies something of a greater nature and understanding. Feeling is the only thing that worker bee understands. So if there isn't any kind of discipline, if there isn't any kind of control over the thoughts and the emotions that you have, worker bee is getting all sorts of distorted, in many cases, probably opposite to actually what Lady Boss is wanting to do. Because even though Lady Boss has all these ideas, I want to create this, I want to do this, I want to be this kind of person, the language that worker bee receives is getting all sorts of mixed messages. And so it's a bit messy and it's a bit chaotic. But when you really understand what I'm teaching here, and I talk all the time, and because it was a really sore point for me, I lacked discipline. I had all the knowledge, I had read all the books, I had put into practice like here and there this work, but I didn't have it on daily discipline. There has got to be, and this is how you get to self-mastery, there's got to be mental discipline where you are not entertaining any thoughts that don't support what you're wanting to create or who you want to be, because feelings are attached to the thoughts. If you look at any kind of feeling you had, you can always go back to what was the thought I had that produced that feeling. When you feel like shit, when you're worried, when you're fearful of something, you can always trace it back to a thought that you had. So if you can start to pay attention to your thoughts and start to control, not necessarily every thought that comes in, but you can start to control which thoughts you give your attention to and which thoughts you allow yourself to focus or give energy to. That will change everything for you. Because once you start having better thoughts, momentum, right? You'll just have more and more better thoughts. And those kind of old way of thinking, it can't even get to you anymore because you just continue to level up. Start with watching your thoughts. Do not give any airtime whatsoever to a thought that is not in support of what you want to create. And then feelings. I teach my clients, actually, I do the timer method. If you really, we don't want to not feel our feelings. I do not believe in bypassing, and actually like emotional distress and unprocessed emotions is like directly related to diseases in the body and all that. So I absolutely champion to feel your feelings, but I also limit it, right? We don't want to sit in self-pity for 3 days and not get anything done because that will wreak havoc on the body. So if there's feelings, I teach my students and my clients to set a timer. Give yourself 10 minutes. Feel like a piece of shit, feel like a failure, feel like whatever you need to feel like. And when that timer goes off, you dust yourself off and you move on. So that's where we can acknowledge, we can observe, we can witness, we can allow ourselves to feel, but we don't spend all day in it. And we certainly don't spend multiple days in it. So always honoring the feelings, but developing this kind of mastery over, I see you, I'm going to allow this for 5 minutes and then we're done. So it's very much like a authority figure in a child, you know, that letting know like, this is what we're doing. I see you and I validate you, but I'm still the adult and I'm in charge. So it's very much like reparenting in a sense. I know absolutely that this was very, very helpful for you. And we're only halfway through chapter 1, A Feeling is a Secret. But follow me on this journey. I will help break down, decode, demystify these kind of teachings and principles, because once you really understand them, like really, really understand them, where you know them, you feel them, they're in your body, you live them every day, then that's when your world changes. You could be reading all the books like me, but if there isn't this integration, there isn't this full body understanding and this daily repetitive practice, nothing's going to shift for you. So join me next week. We're going to finish up chapter 1 of Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard.